back in Valencia today, and this house is one of you guys' favorite. I posted it a couple weeks ago in a community in Colton, way up north, but this one, and this time, we are on the south side. We are back in Valencia, and this house is discounted nearly $150K. This is the Briggs plan by Coventry Homes, one of you guys' favorite on the channel, and I want you to see what an inventory gets you, right? So the other one that we saw was super dialed up, had all the bells and whistles, and you guys were just like, oh my God, I love that plan. But do you feel the same when things aren't quite as dialed up in an inventory home? That's what we have to ask today. Also, second builder that we're gonna be checking out is another one of you guys' favorites. Perry Homes has some crazy deals that are over 100K off as well from their original list price. And on some of those, we're getting down to damn near the base price. So we got some deals for sure. That's what we're doing today. We're deal finding here on the south side in Valencia, in the neighboring neighborhood, right next door and across the street from Meridiana. And we got some deals for y'all today. If that sounds good, stay tuned. So up first, we have Coventry Homes inventory Briggs plan in the Manvel, Texas community of Valencia. And it's been a few months since I've been here, and there's been a lot of changes, man. It looks like they're about halfway done on their amenity centers. That's going up there on the main model home park row. Got a lot more houses than were here about 2 or 3 months ago when I was here. So it's a lot of movement happening in this community. And some of these that were not quite done when I first started over here are now done, and now they're doing the inventory tango, right? Where we're trying to get a good price, you're trying to get a good foundation, a good base to start your journey of turning it into a model home. Y'all know, for those of y'all that have been following me for a while, you guys know that I love getting an inventory home and just trying to put your own stamp on it. That's going to be some of the best deals in any market. And when you have a home that you love the bones of it, and you don't have to do anything structural to make it what you want, tile can change, paint can change, flooring can change pretty easily, as long as you got those bones. And so I'm always on the hunt for an inventory deal for all of my clients, because again, I think that is going to be where you're going to get some of the most incentives, you're going to get some of the lowest prices, you're going to get some of the best deals that you could ever dream of in this market, where we have, man, got to be thousands of new construction communities at this point in Houston. That's going to be where you're going to get some of the best bang for your buck. You're gonna have to play a little bit of project manager though, right? So there's gonna be things that if you were going to a true design center, you wouldn't have. You may be wanting this as an office, and you may want plugs in different places. That's gonna be some stuff that you gotta take on as the architect of your end vision, because there's some stuff that's just not gonna be a standard for a builder, because they're trying to worry about cost on an inventory home. And so we'll talk about some of the things that I'm looking in here that aren't as upgraded. But if you were going to the design center, I can see why they would have been at a higher price. But now, as we just kind of analyze this deal, I'll tell you what I think, okay? So this one is about $799. They reduced it from the original price of $950 to about $799, okay? I think it was actually $948 was what it was originally listed at. And so that is a substantial drop. And we'll look at it from the lens of, okay, if you like the plan, does it have the spaces that you need to do what you want to do with it? And does it have enough of a foundation to make sense? Looking at this kitchen, I think this kitchen is stunning, right? And as someone that has gone to a lot of design centers, I've been blessed to have clients like you guys hit me up and say, hey, Aaron, we want to build a house from scratch. And so I know that this countertop is going to cost a lot. I know that this counter and finishing it up the wall is going to cost a ton. So a lot of the money that was spent was actually on this kitchen in this home, okay? And so we can kind of pick apart some of the other things that they maybe did or didn't do in here, but I'm telling you right now that this kitchen is at least upgraded, okay? So let's go through the rest of the spaces and kind of talk about where I think some of the money may have went, and if this is a good deal for you, okay? This is gonna be an upgraded tile in your laundry room. It looks like they didn't do the full like shelf with cabinetry and all that stuff. They just gave you one little stackable shelf and then a rod. So again, not going super all out. Looks like they did do this on an oversized lot. So you did get a full 3-car wide. That's pretty cool. Looks like they have your cutout for your osmosis or your little water system. It looks like man, I love this plan. This is a crazy plan. They did do a slider, so we know that's gonna be somewhere around 15 that they added. It looks like they went ahead and did the outdoor kitchen. So when I've had people price that out, that's usually another 15 to 20 if they're gonna do the whole shebang and give you brick and give you gas and give you water and all that other stuff over there. That is typically cheaper to just do on your own after you've closed, but do the preliminary stuff for it. So if looks like they added a wet bar back here. Okay, so I can see how from a base price of the upper 7s, you could get to 9s on an oversized lot, a little bit closer to Pearland, a little bit closer to 288. I could see how they would try to justify that price originally, okay? Looks like they also have an upgraded brick color. Most people it looks like they did the upgrades on some of the trim over here, not quite all of them. So it looks like they upgraded these doors at least. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. This is gonna be a standard patio for them outside of the outdoor kitchen. So they did, again, add some money to that. But for this house to be nearly 4,000, I think it's like 3,700 square feet, and to still have this much side yard on both sides and a nice backyard where you could still put a pretty good sized pool, I think that I can see why they would have swung for the fences and tried to be at 950. Now, I will be honest, because I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. For you, those of y'all that have been here for a while, I'm not gonna cap to you and just act like I just love something. For 950, I would expect this flooring to be either engineered hardwood or some of the best luxury vinyl. I would expect for this tile, if they were gonna do tile, for it to be a prettier tile that's a little bit more elegant. I would expect tile to go up this whole fireplace area. I would expect, it looks like they did upgrade some of the hardware in here, some of the light fixtures. They did some things that they upgraded, but it looks like the bulk of it would have come for this kitchen with the waterfall and for this wet room, which would have probably added a couple thousand on this plan, okay? So looking at the selections of here, we probably got 15 to 20. We probably got like 15 or so on the kitchen, just with the countertops and things. Double oven package. You got the upgraded kitchen. Add that, we're probably at around 20. Add this, we're probably closer to 30 in upgrades. Add this, we're probably around 45, because that was the going rate for a slider around that size, around 15K. Okay, so I can see the 50K that they added, right? But for someone that was, the asking price on this was $1 million, there's no way this should be in my house at $1 million, okay? But I say all that to say, not to bash on Coventry, because I love Coventry, they're gonna usually have some of the better price per square footage on their inventory. And looking at this and describing what I would expect to see on an $800,000 house with a neighborhood like Meridiana, next door that we can get something this size and be way less and be prettier, we probably got some room on that, okay? So I say all that to say, let's shoot the shot. What I would say this would probably be worth to me is somewhere in that like 750 to 760, which would probably put them at a little bit of a crunch, because they're not going to, there's a fine line between getting an absolute rock bottom deal and them undercutting the people that did do a design build and have house prices that are much higher. Some of the game that the builders have to play with you is the fact that they have comps that they have already set in this neighborhood. And if they've sold a Briggs for 900,000, and then I come in and I beat them up for you and we get them to 700,000, when that next Briggs comes up and they're pricing that next buyer at, let's say 850, the appraiser is going to look at that and say, well, okay, well, what's the $150,000 difference between this Briggs and this Briggs? And that's going to cause a problem for them. So there's going to be some pushback at a certain point. What I've seen in my experience and with the relationships that I've kind of leveraged, having multiple contracts with builders at a time, you're typically seeing somewhere between 15 to 30-ish of extra incentive that they're willing to give you before they start taking stuff away. So I think right now, Coventry was offering 6% in, if you're using their lender, they were offering 6% towards whatever you want to do if you use their lender. And that could be seller credits, closing costs, whatever. If you start going too low on that price, they'll probably back up off of that, right? So that's just some of the stuff behind the mirrors of what you can kind of expect when negotiating for lowering the price on some of these inventory that have been sitting for a while, and let you in to my mindset of getting you a good deal, but not running out of all of the incentive that makes this an even better deal, like a lower interest rates, a lot of money off of your closing cost, so on and so forth. But we got a great size room. I love the little vaulted ceilings because this isn't a super huge room. The vaulted ceiling makes it feel that much bigger. We got a nice size bathroom. I love that they did the upgraded cabinetry and countertops in here. They did the standalone tub in here, which is definitely an upgrade. I love the size of Coventry's showers. Looks like we have a make-ready station over here. I love the black tile. I don't know if I necessarily love this in the middle, but I love how that tile looks. Crazy. And I love the little bench. That's your toilet back there. And then we have your closet. That is a really good size. They gave you a lot of rods in here. If you were really doing it and you want to come in here and put a custom cabinet system in here, man, or a custom closet system in here rather, you'd really be doing it. But I love the windows. I love the vaulted ceiling in here, carrying that theme from the primary. Really, really nice. So that is first floor. We have 2 beds and a office. Your little dining niche is back there behind me. But now let's go upstairs and see if it's still a vibe for y'all, right? So an upgrade that I see right now, this is upgraded spindles. This is upgraded. They didn't do you with the carpet on the treads, which is what most people would do. So again, they picked and chose some upgrades kind of sporadically. I know that these are upgraded light fixtures, so on and so forth. All right, let's go to this wing. Nice size room. I like the little window seat. Pretty good size. You definitely fit I would say a king would fit in here pretty easily. Have your own ensuite. Closet. Decent size, and this is attic. So if you need to expand or do something, you would have a little room That ceiling is vaulted, so you probably wouldn't have that much room, but you can have a little bit. Linen closet over here. And I almost forgot, for the Peekaboo crew, beautiful view of the spiral. This is the money shot though. That's the one. That's the one. We got another bedroom off this wing. Sorry about the zebra lines. Got a lot of competing lighting here. So this room's a little bit smaller, but again, it looks like it had a pretty good sized closet. You probably could fit a king in here if you were to put it on this wall, but I don't know if I would. What would I use this for? I'd probably use this for, I don't know, because this one has an office, so I wouldn't need to force it for an office. That one's a little bit tighter than that first bedroom. Upgraded countertops, upgraded tiles. Again, man, they did some things that it's like, oh, I see what they were doing. But the thing they needed to do was they needed to do a luxury vinyl. They needed to do a wood. They needed to do something that was gonna elevate this to the price point that they were asking for to make it make sense. And they just didn't quite do that because the space is a vibe. But now if you tell somebody they gotta come and replace, you know, nearly 4,000 or nearly 3,000 square feet of carpet, do they wanna do that with a luxury vinyl plank? Probably not. The cost of that, do you really wanna do that? And so our offer would kind of reflect that. If you were thinking about buying this home and this was like, hey, this carpet is a deal breaker for me, or I know I'm gonna wanna put something else in it, we would probably offer under the premise that that is what we were planning to do with this house, okay? And one more time for the vibes, man. This is 3-car wide. This plan is probably one of my favorite plans in all of Houston, man. I'm not gonna lie. This is definitely up there because it gives you the spiral staircases, it gives you the little niches, it gives you the places to put your tree, it gives you the separate office. The only thing it doesn't give you is a separate dining, but when it's tucked off in the back like this is, you don't really need that, in my opinion. That's separate enough for me. Gives you the glam, gives you the gigantic ceilings, gives you the natural light, does everything you need it to do. So again, this is the Briggs plan. If you have any questions on this one, my girl Rachel was so kind enough to let me go and check this one out for her to showcase to you guys, because I know a few of y'all hit me up immediately after I posted that Briggs and said, find me one on the south side. And I found you one on the south side, okay? So price on this one currently right now is $799. I do think they'll have some more wiggle room, but we'll have to make it work for both sides to make it work, okay? $799. This is around 3,700 square feet in Valencia, Manvel, Texas, right off of 288. So you're going to see the benefits of the growth of the Manvel Town Center. You're going to see the benefits of a neighborhood that is coming right next to y'all. I'm going to wait for those plans to solidify a little bit more. If you want to know about them, just shoot me a text or something like that, and I'll send you the plans. It's for a neighborhood called the Presidio. There's supposed to be an outlet mall and more shopping and more restaurants and all that stuff coming like right at the footsteps of this neighborhood for a neighboring neighborhood that's coming up here allegedly at the start of next year. So I'm excited to just see this area grow and see what it's going to do, and you're going to be able to benefit from there in this neighborhood, okay? So that's the first one. This one is nearly $150K off. Coventry Homes, Briggs plan that y'all know and love, has the fireplace, has the slider, has the upgraded kitchen, but it's got some other stuff in here that you would probably have to work with and work on to get it to that model home quality that you know and love. Has the outdoor kitchen. Almost forgot about that, right? So it has the stuff, but is it enough stuff for y'all? But we have more to see. Let's go and check out what Perry Homes has in store for us. Again, over 100K off on all their offerings right now in inventory. But let's see if this one or if Perry is going to be the one for you. All right, up next we have a Perry Homes 3300, I think it's 3300 W plan. This is one of you guys' favorite man, what community was I in? I want to say I was in either Harvest Green or maybe even like a long time ago on Ellison. And you guys just loved some of the details of this plan. I know that Perry as a builder has about gotta be 300 damn plans at this point. So I'm sure there's been dozens of these that do these kind of features that you see, you know, you like and you love for them, especially if you're looking at one-story plans. Some of them start to kind of blend together because they have so many. We'll kind of talk through that on this one. This one is 100 and I believe 10K off. And so we'll go over the specs. We'll talk about the naming, what's in here, what's upgraded, what's standard. We'll kind of go through all of those things and see if this one is the deal for you. All right, so we have stepped on over into Perry's 70-foot section. And so some of the width that you're gonna get, and I apologize for those of y'all that are new that don't quite know what that means, so I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna explain it. All right, so we're in a 70-foot section. That means that this lot behind me is about from that corner of the gate to where the gate would be over there is about 70 foot wide, okay? So to back that up, the corner of this gate to the corner of that gate, on average in this section of all of these houses is gonna be about 70 foot wide. In Texas, we have gate easements, and an easement is just kind of where things run. Fence lines is just kind of where things run. Most of Texas, your drainage system between the houses is going to be along this shared line, and that is kind of an easement that you have, so you can't build into that, and it's going to be that way on both sides of the house. So because you have that roughly 5-foot easement on either side, most of the plans are going to be somewhere between 60 and 65-ish foot wide on average. You usually have about 10 feet, okay? So it's gonna be somewhere in that range, but narrower than the lot is. And that is what we mean when we say a 60, 70, 80, 50-foot lot. You're gonna have a slightly smaller foundation in the middle of that size lot, okay? So enough of the yapping. It's hot out here, let me get inside. But this is a 70-foot wide product. I've also seen this in some sections, or a version of this in some sections that are in the 60s. I've seen some versions of this in the 65s. Again, when you kind of deal with a builder like Perry that has hundreds of plans, gotta be hundreds of plans and variations. If it's not exactly the 3300 W, it might be the 3300 with another letter, and it'll be at the right width for that neighborhood and for that lot, and have the right elevations and do all those things right. So just giving you a little background, Perry also took it one step further and simplified their process. So with other builders like a Highland Homes, where you have to memorize a plan and know, for example, that a 222 plan is going to be on something that's 65 foot and wider, and it's about 3,800 square feet, and then you can do these kind of manipulations to it, or these structural changes to it to change the footprint. Perry is pretty simple. 3300 W is going to be about 3,300 square feet. You can still make some changes to it structurally, but the foundation of the size of that home is going to be the plan name, okay? And I like that they simplified that, okay? Grand foyer. So because this is wider than most, even on their smaller products, you're gonna see that the corridors and the ceilings off of this foyer are just gonna be much higher with Perry, especially on 1-stories. Is one of the reasons why Perry tends to be the 1-story king or queen in Houston. They just like absolutely dominate, in my opinion, for one-story homes. There's another builder that I believe is a spinoff of Perry Homes. I believe that's the lore is that the owner of Ravenna Homes was a higher up in Perry and kind of did their own spin off of some of the stuff that was already successful for Perry. So it's not a, it's not a one for one. They're just straight up copying them. But you'll see that if you're looking for big one stories in the Houston metro, you're gonna see Perry pop up a lot. You're gonna see Ravenna pop up a lot. And I think that's based off of that relationship of what they saw. Okay. So looking at this, we do have some upgraded countertops. Look like we got a Jack and Jill, and y'all know my vibes on that. I ain't walking through it. I need the minutes. We're gonna walk around and see what else we discover. Standard feature for Perry. One of those things that just drives my wife crazy because she is not a fan of the wood look tile. She would prefer a laminate or like an engineered hardwood, but in inventory, that's one of those things that if you're getting an inventory and we're getting a deal, you're gonna just have to deal, with changing out floors or covering up floors or whatever the situation is. You're gonna have to deal with doing that, deal with painting. That's gonna come with the territory, okay? Looks like we have cohesive tops and flooring in the bathroom, at least on the first couple bathrooms that we've seen so far. But this is an ensuite, so that's always a plus for those that are gonna be here for a while, or if you got a guest that you don't want trouncing around your house, being all in your business, looking at all your stuff. They got their own wing and you don't need to hear from them, and they don't really need to hear from you until it's time for some food. It's dinner time. But again, standard for Perry as over the last few years, 8-foot doors are standard. Other builders, you got to pay to upgrade that. It changes the whole framing of the house if you want to get bigger doors. Otherwise, they would be the normal like 6-foot doors, right? And that just drastically changes how elegant a house looks if you got a normal 6-foot door versus 8-foot doors, okay? Also, something that I've been noticing has been more standard is the higher baseboard trim. Almost nobody does crown molding on top, but the really fancy people will typically do really big baseboard trim. So that's something that I noticed that has appeared to be more standard for Perry in the neighborhoods that I cover the most. Got your little mud room that they've already built out. Looks like we have a laundry room that they have done an upgraded tile in. Looks like they also gave you a full cabinet top, which is a slight upgrade, nothing too crazy. Linen closet. We need a place to put things in Texas. And this is the other side of that Jack and Jill we were looking at earlier. So again, upgraded countertop, nice tile. Looks like they're following the trend of the other bathroom so far. So it's super cohesive. It doesn't look like a mistake. And I gotta say, shout out to my girl Ty for giving me access, giving me the keys to the city. She reached out to me personally and was like, Aaron, I got a few and I need help moving, so show them to your people for me, please. And that is what we are doing. She's been super nice. She helped me out a bunch in Meridiana before she got moved over here to Valencia, right around the corner, and she seems to be doing really well, so I'm super happy for her. Got a little guest bath, so people don't need to, if you got guests, they don't need to be in your bedroom, in your business, doing your stuff. Use your bathroom, go ahead and get up out of here, man. Okay? Love the detail and love that little A-frame vault right there that they carry through and past the patio. Love that. And then you have this beautiful open concept where they follow the vaulted look. If you were building this, they would wrap it for you in like a decorative wood if you wanted that. I would say you probably could do it cheaper on your own. But just cabinets galore, right? Really nice kitchen. Another thing that I've been seeing them do is their split double ovens. So you see how this oven is over here. It's not a slide in. I was about to get offended the first time that I saw that because I was like, ain't no way you putting a slide in oven and range on a 700,000 plus house. And they're not. They're doing built-in cabinetry, but instead of having 2 of these and then maybe a microwave that's way up here, that as someone that is 5'6" on a good day, I wouldn't really be able to get much utility out of that. So my wife, that's a little bit shorter than me, wouldn't really be able to get much utility out of that. So I think this is actually smart to separate it like this. And I'm starting to see Perry kind of pick that up and do that more and more. They're still giving you double ovens, they're just not double stacked, okay? Cabinetry galore, storage galore. Now, of things that would normally be upgrades in here, also another thing that Perry typically does on their inventories that's an upgrade is the full cabinetry around. So it's not just drywall or just some kind of sheetrock or something or some kind of paneling. This actually operable cabinet space. They got the 2 different tones to make it look a little bit more custom. I believe this is that new like brown color that they've been trying. They've been doing that a little bit more in Meridiana as well. And I think it pairs up really good with this wild white in this tile. I don't necessarily love the tile, but because they went with this brown, they basically got what me and Marissa got. So we have a black bottom, white tops, and because we have that combination, our inventory home came with some tiles that are just terrible to match. And so when we're trying to, they're fine, they look pretty, but they're not necessarily our style. They got some blues, some grays, some black in it, and it just doesn't necessarily go with our style. We're typically more, I'll speak for me. My wife was a little bit more wild with the design, but I'm like, give me a nice black tile, give me a nice white tile, give me something that has some texture. It can be, I would prefer it to be shiny or whatever, right? This, you kind of had to play into the brown on this one because they chose this new experimental brown base, right? Where most people would expect your blacks, your grays, your dark greens, stuff that's a little bit more easy to kind of play into the mood of. On this one, they had to choose this one. So if you didn't like that, that's another thing that we got to talk about in the negotiation on the front end. Hey, I don't like these tiles. It's going to be something I got to fix. Let's maybe talk about lowering this price a little bit. Hey, I don't necessarily love the cabinet colors. I'm probably going to have to paint that. Let's talk about lowering this price a little bit. But that is kind of what goes into this inventory market right now, because we are in a spot where Houston, as I've said before, is literally the #1 new construction capital of the US. There's more new construction homes. There's more new construction homes than you can ever have in Houston, okay? And at the same time, the nation, while Houston, I think, is still in a spot where it is still considered fairly affordable, Houston is in a spot where it's kind of moving closer and closer to the unaffordability in the nation, okay? And so when you have that combination of a lot of inventory, slight unaffordability, and a whole bunch of builders and a whole bunch of metros just trying to come up off of stuff, that's where you get deals where 2 years ago, there's no way this would have been a 100K drop. No way, right? 2 years ago, there's no way that Briggs would have been down 150K. No way, okay? But that's the reality of where we are now, is just making deals happen for you guys, okay? Enough of the yapping, show you some more of this beautiful home. Again, man, just the views and the vibes that you get off of this open concept. Now the table floats in the middle on this one. That has been some of the critique that I've seen on this plan. But if you wanted to, you could technically turn this into a dining room. Most people are gonna use that as their game room or a flex room. But if you didn't want to pay to go up to the bigger plan, I believe the next up plan for this one is the 3756 plan, I believe it is, or 3765 or some along those lines, where you have the defined dinner, the defined media, the defined movie room. You just got all these extra spaces, but now you're kind of creeping up in that price. If you didn't want to do that, you can put a table in there if you wanted to. But how this is designed, your family room is going to be about here. Got your little L-shaped couch. If you turn around over here, your table's right here. You got your bar stool seating over there, and it all just kind of works out, okay? We peekabooed in here a little bit. One of my clients made the comments that they've never seen a builder's windows go down so low to the ground. And I never noticed it until they said it, but by far the lowest windows that I've ever seen getting in the most natural light has been Perry Homes for sure, okay? But yeah, just one of those things. This isn't super upgraded carpet. So if you're like my wife that likes that really tightly woven, not like movie theater, but like that upgraded padded carpet that just looks really fancy that you see in the model homes, that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to do. If you hate the colors of these walls, you're gonna have to repaint it. That comes with the inventory, but at a discount of over 100,000, we can find you a painter, okay? So let's go out to this patio and see if they skimmed out on any decisions out here. All right, if you're coming down south and you're touring without me, don't be freaked out by what this is, okay? This is your storm. This is a part of your storm system, and it's required when you come down this south in Houston. So you would have some kind of either drywall or some kind of a metal piecing that the builder is going to give you that goes over this in the event that a storm is coming and you wanted to block up these big, beautiful windows. You don't want anything flying through. You have those boards, or you have those metal sheets that they give you that you can install to protect your home, okay? All right, so we got a blocked-in wire for a fan up there. You got your recessed lighting. Looks like they set you up for cable and plugs for your TV. They got you for your gas over here for a future cooktop. Another plug on that wall as well. So this would be good for entertainment for sure. This is one of the perks of building a Perry home. I think this one is a little bit extended from what I remember what their base one looks like. But some of the biggest patios standard, I believe standard would still be to right here, right? So it's still a really big patio as a standard. Check out some of your yard. This is 3,300 one-story, 3,300 square foot one-story home. And so side yard, still a ton. You can put your little storage shed over here, do what you gotta do for storage. Tons of room for just little knickknacks, flower beds, whatever you wanna do. You would still have tons of room for a pool. Your pool easement would probably be, easement is where we have gas and things kind of running in these neighborhoods in Texas. So your data for AT&T and all that stuff would be back here in theory. And it looks like you looked up and didn't actually have a pole in your lot for this one. So that's clutch. But even still, if you did, you probably wouldn't be able to build up to this line just because there's usually gas or data or something running through back here. And so your build line usually stops at about where the trees are. So you would have all of this space right here for a really nice sized pool. Really nice. Really, really nice. All right, we got the primary bed to go and check out. And then we got another big old Perry for us to check out on a channel that's a little bit more reduced than this one. But yeah, one more time for the vibes. You come to this corner, this is probably the prettiest corner of the whole house right here. You get to get a peek of all the stuff. Beautiful. All right, so up front we had how many? We had an office, we had 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 beds. So we got 4 bed and an office and a little game room area back there, okay? So pretty much all the spots that you would need. You come into primary, and they got a little vault in here. They didn't do the picture windows in here, so these are operable windows in here. Come on around, you got the peekaboo tub. This is probably one of the first builders that I saw that did that, and I was like, ooh, Perry fancy. They looking at you, you looking at them. Everybody's looking at each other. Everybody's all right. Got a make-ready station over there. Again, it looks like they carried this almost like a gray chocolate color throughout. So that would be one of those things that if you hated it up front, you're probably gonna hate it back here, and then we would need to be talking about painting or switching out or something, right? That's what would come with the territory of this. But in terms of upgrades, they did the upgraded tub. Got nice storage in here. Up here you typically have your split closets. So this is a closet over here. Really good size. And then this is a closet. I can't remember if I showed it to you over here. This is another closet, about the same size, okay? So yeah, that is the 3300 plan. Let me call out the stats for y'all, so I ain't lying to you when I'm talking to you about these numbers. Shout out to my girl Ty again for giving me the keys to the city and saying, hey Aaron, come check out my stuff. And I said, bet, you right around the corner, girl, I'll come check it out. And so this is plan 3300. Original price was $675, or no, excuse me, $779, and now we are at $675. So right around 104, 105K off. That's where we are right now. And we got one right up the street that's going to be a little bit more off, and it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be over 4,000 square feet. So I don't think I've ever seen the 4334 plan, so I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I like what this is. Now, in terms of deals in this market, what can you expect? Like I said, Ty reached out to me specifically and said, hey Aaron, can you please come and put some eyes on this home for me? And so in those scenarios, what I've typically seen is we have closer to how I talked to y'all about this earlier, somewhere between that 15 to 30 of wiggle room. When they start hitting me up, we're in that like 30-ish kind of zone. We're closer to there. If I catch them and it's just been sitting for a month or so, we're closer to that extra 15 of play, right? So what I don't want you to do is assume that just going around and doing this on your own, that they're gonna give you those same numbers. A lot of the ability that I have in this metro, and it's not to toot my own horn, I'm blessed to have clients like you guys that hit me up all the time and say, hey Aaron, be my agent, join me on this journey. And because of that, I usually have a contract or two with most of the builders that you see on this channel all the time, pretty much in rotation. Again, that is not a flex. That is just, I'm blessed to have people like you in my life that have reached out and said, Aaron, I want you to be my agent, okay? But having said that, because I have contracts in multiple markets with multiple builders, or even with the same builder that you're looking at any given time, there's a high likelihood that they know that I know that they know that I know what a deal is in Bridgeland versus Meridiana versus Valencia versus Pomona. They know that I know, because I've had contracts to close in those areas, what is allowable wiggle room. And when they see my name, what typically occurs is it's a little friendlier than if you were to go to them directly. If you took this video and you were just like, yeah, I want an extra 30K off, they're probably gonna be like, because just with the process of adding an agent, there's a certain level of professionalism with the product or with the process. There's a certain level of explanation that they're not gonna have to give to you that I would be giving to you. There's a certain level of buffer that they would be willing to work that deal through me, because they know that as my client, I'm going to handle and answer a lot of the questions and some of the drama that could come up with an inventory deal or with a build, right? And so you're way less likely to get a deal going by yourself. And there have been people where I say this, and in the comments, they'll write themselves, hey, I was in the neighborhood, I said Aaron was my agent, I got an extra 10K. Hey, I was about to put my name down, I said that you were my agent, they were like, I got 15K for you. That happens all the time because I do a lot of volume with these people, and I don't want you to miss out on that. If you don't hit me up and you just use the video and you go sign, and no shade to y'all, some of y'all in my neighborhood, some of y'all in my section that have been like, hey, one of the reasons I came to this neighborhood and one of the reasons why I bought where I bought was because of you. Sorry I didn't hit you up. I'm here to tell you it's all good, it's all love, but you left money on the table. There's just not deals that they're giving you without representation, right? You could get a deal, you could get a little bit more off, but you're not gonna swing the needle as much as you think without that. And contrary to what many people believe that if you go in without an agent, that they are somehow gonna give you all of what they would have paid your agent as an incentive. Unfortunately, what typically happens is the builder and or the builder sales rep get some kind of a bonus structure, right? So they're gonna give you a little bit of that maybe, but the rest of that is just gonna be profits made for the company. Whereas you've lost out now on expertise, you've lost out now on that check and balance of them just telling you anything is normal or standard. You've lost that experience. But again, I'm not here to convince you to do anything. I'm here to just give you the data, and that is, if you want some deals specifically on inventory, especially in my neck of the woods, damn near anywhere, any of the power builders, Weston, Newmark, Perry, Highland, Coventry, David Weekley, you keep naming them, I've done a deal with them, and I know that we can take care of you, and you're leaving money on the table if you don't hit me up. I'm gonna put the QR code. I've probably done it already because this video is getting long as hell now. I've probably done it already, but I'm gonna put the QR code right now. Take your camera out, look at that, book that call. Let me sit down, let me be locked in and focused on your family so we can take care of your needs as best we can. The other way you can get in touch with me, hit the comment section, hit me with a text. But again, the absolute best way is to book a call. Or you can be like some of my clients that go out there. There's gonna be guest cards in these houses where they say, hey, how did you find out about us? Make sure that you put my info down, because when the chips are down and it's time to write a contract and it's time to start negotiating, I'm telling you, I'm gonna help you get a better deal than you would get by yourself. And it would be better if you hit me up beforehand, but I know some people just kind of like to do their own thing and then come back. That's fine too. But yeah, hit me up, book that call. That's the best way. Secondary way, once you're out there, if you're free riding, hit that guest card and just say, hey, Aaron's my guy. They'll hit me up. We'll get the ball rolling and make sure that we get you taken care of. All right, last but not least, we got a big old something. Nearly 4,400 square feet. I'm not quite sure if I've seen this one before, but if I walk in here, I'll be able to tell you here pretty quick. Yes, I think I've seen this one before. So I think this one was one that I shot for my guy Akeem in his neighborhood of Ellison. Yep. Beautiful. I actually really like this layout, so I think y'all are gonna like it too. So we come off of the front door, and you have almost a Western style office where you get that almost two-story feel, kind of like the Carter does that a lot of y'all really love on the channel. Really good size. I'm seeing some coax in here for TVs and internet and all that stuff. I think Xfinity is the main player out here, and they got that old ass technology with the coax. So that is what we're seeing. Again, we're on a 70-foot wide product, so that means that the house is what? Testing y'all in the comments, the house is what? About 60 feet, okay? Really grand foyer, nice tall ceilings, really makes it elegant feeling. You come into your secondary bedrooms, and this one isn't super huge, but I think you can still get a nice size little queen in here, get some good size furniture in here, and still feel good about the house that you got. Not super upgraded on the tiles in there. These are a little bit more upgraded. And it looks like we can cut through, but y'all know what we not gonna do. We not cutting through because we need them minutes. And so we walk through up in here, and it's just a different take on those same kind of spaces that you would get in a nice two-story home. But again, Perry has hundreds of plans. So I think I've seen a version of this where this was facing the other way and this little opening was a little bit more narrow, but these bedrooms were bigger. I've seen it where the dining was its own little room. There's just versions of this that you can do because Perry has so many plans and it's been around so long, and they've just kind of tried to change with the times as people have changed. And this is a beautiful plan to me. Beautiful backsplash, 5-burner cooktop, got 2 ovens, split like the last one. Beautiful, beautiful. We have the cabinetry. Let's see if it wraps or if they just did it in a vinyl. Full cabinetry all the way around, hardware all the way around. I love how this is tucked off over here, and so you have your actual dining niche that doesn't feel fully separated, but feels separated enough to where it doesn't feel like it's just floating in the middle of your house. Huge, huge fan of that. All right, I ain't open these doors back here. Let me see if we got pantries and stuff that I missed. Pantry is back there. We'll go back and check that out. What's this? Secondary pantry. Really good size. Coat closet. Need that. Mud room. We'll take that too. And then a little secret little bathroom back here. Okay. They have this lock. They got this one actually open so we can see that this one is kind of a storage for them, like many of them are during construction. But it is a full 3-car ride, full 3-car wide. You have 2 garage doors. We'll go out and check your back patio real quick. They finished the back patio. I think that looks way better than just that standard little concrete from the foundation that over time is gonna have the little cracks in it. I think you gotta finish it and make it look like this. I think this looks gorgeous. Looks like they were still tidying up some of these recessed lights back here. We are blocked and wired for a fan in the middle. Got a couple plugs out here. Looks like they did your coax and your plugs for power right there, as well as your gas. And again, you're gonna have plenty of room for a pool in here, man. Plenty of room. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Now as we slide back on in here, let me lock up. You still get tall windows. You still get natural light. For whatever reason, Perry isn't the hugest on sliders and inventory. But again, if you're playing the inventory game like most builders are doing right now, you don't want to put too much into a house if the neighborhood isn't calling for it, because that's just $15K that you would be discounting away from yourself to the buyer when somebody like me comes around and is like, hey, let's see what we can do to make this work, right? So keep that in mind, that if you wanted this plan but a slider, you're probably gonna have to build it. Or do it after the fact and void a whole bunch of warranties to do that after the fact, okay? So I would say it's not worth it, but only you know what your limits are. Back up one more time for the vibes. I like to pick a corner, just have an amazement corner, and this one I think is my favorite view from this house so far. You get the width of that corridor, you get to see the vastness of this kitchen and your game room area up there. Love it. Come in here, we got the linen closet, because in Texas we need that what? That storage. So we be some hoarders, not us. Marissa run a tight ship, bro. She ain't letting stuff just stick around. But a lot of people in Texas, they don't use their garages for their cars, bro. Their garages are for stuff. Texas thing. All right, great size. We have nice tall ceilings in here. They would expect your TV to be over here. Definitely wide enough for a king and full size furniture. You come up in here. We got that nice peekaboo. You looking at them, they looking at you, everybody looking at each other, and everybody's all good. Two vanities split. It doesn't look like we have a make-ready station in here, so I know that would be a bummer for some families. Normally, if you were building it, I believe it would actually be over here, but it looks like they gave you linen in here instead. And you come in here and check out this closet that is connected to the laundry room I didn't walk past or walk through before. Let's go see if this one has a second closet. Perry usually has the split closet system. Come through here. Here's where you do your business. And here's the second side of the closet. Beautiful, man. I'm liking it. I think the one con for this plan so far is that on a house this size is usually going to be for a family, and that family usually is going to need that make-ready station, or somebody's going to need that make-ready station usually. And so I don't know if this is the trade-off that most people would want when you have so much closet space and so many racks that you can kind of put a linen closet. But I say all that to say, if I'm looking at this floor plan right now, it doesn't look like there's anywhere else they could have maybe squeezed that. So maybe that was just the best bang for the buck for an inventory. Maybe. All right, so now we're going to check out the upstairs and see if it gives the same vibes I was feeling downstairs, which is this is a beautiful home. And does a whole bunch of stuff right. A little pitter patter up these stairs. Massive. This is an absolutely massive game room. Sheesh. This is gigantic. Now, I have heard some of the feedback. I've been, again, blessed to have a lot of my clients kind of touring at this size and around this size as of late. And some of the feedback that I've been given is they actually don't like a super big loft game room area. And that is because they were like, well, hey, if you cut this in half, think about how much bigger my bedrooms could be. Think about how much bigger my closets could be. And I never had that perspective to even think about that. I would immediately just kind of come thinking about this for our little life right now and be like, this would be outstanding to have this. But once you get to a certain phase in life, you're just like, hey, I want bigger rooms, I want bigger closets, so on and so forth, right? So I haven't had that perspective until recently. And I think that with the size of this, those same people would be like, give me this in my bedroom. Don't give me this up here. I ain't gonna be playing pool up here. I ain't gonna be playing poker up here, watching TV up here like that. I said, all right. Bet. Got a nice size theater room. That some of that space could have probably gave itself some room in here, right? So I can see it. I see the arguments now. I see it. I feel it. But this is a really good size. Let me see if we can get some light in here just so you can see what they did. Looks like a really nice blue. They did not paint the door. Storage in here, which is a plus. Looks like they want you to have everything on this wall. Looks like they're set up for speakers up top, which is cool. But all the data, all the cable, everything is on that wall. And so it looks like they would want your couch and things to be facing this way. All right. Another thing that is cool on this plan that I noticed as we were walking up is they put a little half bath up here. So these people don't have to go into someone's bedroom. A lot of times on inventory houses, you'll find that they kind of phone away that the bedrooms on the secondary level. They'll usually have a lot of Jack and Jills, or they'll have like a bathroom right here that is a door to this side, but it's attached to another room, Jack and Jill style. And it's just like, I've always not like that, especially at a price point like this. Have the guests go into a guest space. Don't have them come into my bedroom, right? And so I like that they actually added that on this instead of storage, which I think is what would normally be there. Making our way downtown, okay? So first bedroom, really good size. Definitely could get a queen over here for sure. Standard kind of tile. Not bad. Looks like the top is a little bit upgraded. It's gonna be level 2, level 3 quartz. Looks like we got another bedroom. Again, pretty good size. Another queen. It looks like we're running into a Jack and Jill sitch, and y'all know the vibes. I'm gonna walk around because we need them, what? We need them minutes. Good size closets. That's another thing that I'll say on inventory houses. In my experience, the differentiators between Perry and other builders is usually you're gonna get the corridors that are wide and feel really luxurious. You're gonna usually get really tall ceilings that feel really luxurious, really elegant. And you're gonna get bigger closets for the same square footage on average. They really do a good job of kind of taking that space. Now they're definitely not, in my opinion, gonna be on the cosmetic side of inventory. I think you'll typically find prettier Newmark homes. I think you'll typically find prettier Highland homes in inventory. But for the space and for how the space makes you feel, they're some of the best builders for 1-story and 2-story homes, in my opinion. All right, last but not least, we have another little linen closet because we need that storage. And we got another. We got another bedroom. This is the other side of that bathroom that we weren't gonna walk through before, because y'all know the vibes at this point. And then this is a lovely closet. All right, that is a beautiful plan. Get all the stats. Let me walk down and talk to y'all about what we got going. Again, shout out to my girl Ty for giving me the opportunity to come down here and share this with y'all. This home was originally $865, and we now have this one down into the low 750s. So again, we are around that like 110, 115K kind of drop. Tons of deals, but again, this was one of those ones that she was like, hey, Aaron, I gotta get up off it. Do we have more room on this one based on the relationship that I've built with Ty and built with Perry over the years? Probably, okay? But that's the video for the day. I showed you a few different homes that are over 100,000 off. Some are even approaching their base price. And whenever you can do that, whenever you can find a house that is doing that as a fully finished home that's upgraded to whatever degree it is, and you're not paying for the land and you're not paying for over the base contract, that is an absolute steal. And it is happening more and more every day all around Houston. And I want to be the guy to help you find it. But is that enough for you? Is it enough to get a house like this in the neighborhood that you want at damn near base price? Is that enough to make you pull the trigger in today's market?